Hello, my name is Dennis Marsh. I supervise the Pennsylvania New Hire Reporting Program within the Department of Labor and Industry. The purpose of this presentation is to present to employers information on Pennsylvania's New Hire Reporting Program, why employers should report your new hire information to the program, and the benefits to employers for reporting your information. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about the purpose of new hire reporting is to match the information submitted by employers to the Commonwealth's new hire reporting program, to match that data against child support case files reported to the department from Human Services to find out where obligors, people who are non-custodial parents not paying their child support, where those people are located at and working at, and through the new hire information, initiate a wage garnishment to have the obligor's wages garnished and sent to the custodial parent to pay the child support obligation. I'm going to explain in this presentation how we actually find the non-custodial parents, the process by which we find the non-custodial parents and start the wage garnishment. I'm going to talk about the methods we use to report your new hire information. We offer employers report your new hire data to our program, and then the benefits for both children, obviously through the needed child support that are collected, and for employers. There are direct benefits to employers for reporting your new hires to the new hire reporting program. I'll talk about that towards the end of the presentation. And I'll have contact information at the end of the presentation. So you can find out if you have questions or want more information, you can contact the program that way. So let me talk about why report your new hires. As I mentioned before, the purpose of new hire reporting is to find out where non-custodial parents are located at and to start a wage garnishment process in place to support the children. If a support order is not in place, the new hire information reported by employers is used to establish a support order or to enforce an existing order not being currently enforced. Again, the process basically matches the new hire information submitted by employers to an open child support case file received each week from the Department of Human Services. And if a match occurs between the two files, meaning a new hire report matches the obligor case file, the information is sent to the Department of Human Services and a wage garnishment process is started. We also use the data here in Pennsylvania. Our state law allows us to use new hire information to find out who is trying to defraud these state programs, unemployment compensation and workers' compensation. And I'll talk about this in some detail at the end of the presentation. But basically, we use new hire report to match against claimant files to see if somebody is working and trying to claim unemployment compensation or workers' compensation fraud benefits they're not entitled to and recoup monies if possible. And finally, a final use of the new hire report is to determine where hiring is occurring by industry and area across the Commonwealth. We don't talk about individual employees being hired or individual employers doing the hiring, but we do offer publications on where hiring is occurring across the state. The information in the gray box there is information on my bureau, the Center for Workforce Information Analysis. We are actually the bureau that administers the new hire program and maintains the new hire program. Employers often contact our bureau with questions about new hire reporting, questions about where they can locate a plant in the state, where's optimal places, labor force information, labor market information on the best places to open a new business, for example, and we'll have to answer your questions. You can see here some examples of information we routinely produce on new hire reporting, and you can contact our bureau for more information. So how do we actually find the obligors who owe the child support? Every state has a process similar to what you see on this slide here. Every state by law is required to have a new hire program in place. Most states house their new hire program within their Human Services Department and their child support agency. Pennsylvania is different in that we house our new hire reporting program within our labor department. So the process basically starts when you, the employer, who have a hot job opening to fill, a position to fill, you hire someone to fill that position. Now, generally, when you hire someone, they won't divulge that if they owe child support, they're not paying it, and you won't think to ask that question during the hiring process. But in general, you'll hire someone and do your due diligence, report that new hire information to our Commonwealth's program. We will take that new hire report, as I said earlier, we'll match it against a child support case file of obligors not paying child support. And then if a match occurs between the two files, we'll send that information to Human Services, and they will reach out to the employer, initiate the wage garnishment process with the employer to garnish the new hire's wages and send that money to the custodial parent. The Human Services Department sets up the frequency, amount, and type of wage garnishment to occur. Labor and Industry Department does not do that. That's handled by Human Services. Now, the money that's garnished for child support is not sent directly to the custodial parent for the dependent child's care. It's instead gathered at a centralized collection disbursement unit, and then from that disbursement unit, sent to the dependent child. The reason why this is not done directly from the obligor to the custodial parent is in some instances, the obligor is not allowed to know by law where the custodial parent or the child, the family is located at, or for family violence or safety indicators. So to avoid that, a blind system is set up that the wages come in and dispersed by a centralized database to the custodial parent. We also send the new hire information to the federal government. The reason why this is done is that if the obligor leaves Pennsylvania to avoid being found in Pennsylvania and are paying on child support in Pennsylvania, they move to another state, for example, or they move overseas, there are international agreements in place for child support collections. But they move to another state, for example, when they are hired in that other state program sends that information to the national office, the National Director of New Hires in Washington, D.C., and at the national level, all the information from all the states is gathered so that the hiring that occurs in the other state is seen at the national level, and the money is garnished in another state and sent back to Pennsylvania to support the child in Pennsylvania, or vice versa. If the family is located in another state and the obligation, the hiring occurs in Pennsylvania. So that interstate activity happens as well. This process within Pennsylvania generates roughly $25 million or so per each fiscal year for child support collections. And then many millions more are generated by the interstate child collection process as well across the nation. This is the basic process in place. Again, all employers, regardless of your industry, your size, your location, your activity, your wage level, it's regardless of that, you must report your new hires to the new hire reporting program. The only exceptions under law are employees of the National Security Agency are not reported to this process for national security concerns. They have a separate reporting process. And employees and employers located on federally recognized Native American tribal lands where the tribe is acting like a sovereign nation within the state. There are approximately 560 federally recognized tribes across the United States at this point right now. Around 60 or so of them have a tribal program process set in place where the tribe itself acts as like an independent agency and reports the new hires to the federal government. Other than those two exceptions, all employers must report your new hire information to the new hire reporting program. This is the information we require for each time you hire a person. This is the information for every person you report to our program. When you get a federal employer identification number, the number that's used on your assigned by the IRS, your FEIN, your company name, your street address, obviously, city, state, and zip code, and the contact information of the person in your company actually creating and submitting the new hire report to our program. The reason why we ask this information is that if there's a problem with the data you submit to us, if it's incomplete, illegible, can't be verified in some manner, if there's a problem with your data you give to us, we will reach out to that contact person to get the information corrected if possible. And then for each new hire person, we require their full legal name as it appears on their social security card, the street address, the city, state of hire and zip code, their social security number, again, as it appears on their social security card, the date of hire, the day they're first starting to work for you for wages and compensation, and their date of birth if you have that information available. Now we ask that if you hire a person and they can't produce a social security number or a social security card at the time you hire them, do not make up information and report the information to us without a valid social in place. Wait till they have a valid social security card and can produce that information before you submit the report to our program. Don't make up information because it'll be flagged in our system as an error and we'll be contacting you to get it corrected. Also, you can see here in my notes indicate that under the state law, employers must report this new hire information within 20 days of the hire date. The day the person first starts reporting they're working for wages and compensation. But under our law, we give you a slight break. We'll accept data going back 3 years from the current date. So you can report information from 3 years from the current date to today, or up to 30 days in the future. So if you hire someone today, for example, you have up to 30 days to report information to us and it's still valid information. But if you try to report somebody, they're going to actually start working for you with a hire date from 6 months in the future, for example, that's too far into the future and it's not a valid information. We won't accept that. So within those narrow date ranges, we'll accept your data. Also, my second note here is some employers will use a third-party payroll processing, a certified public accountant, a CPA, for example, to handle their payroll processing work, or they'll outsource that to another employer agency. We ask, first of all, if you're using this kind of setup, a third-party payroll processor, you verify with that payroll processor that your new hire report is being submitted on behalf of you to our program correctly, and that also that the information you're using as a street address in that instance is the actual place where the payroll is being processed, because that's place, the payroll processing address is where the wage garnishment will occur at. So keep those two instances in mind when you're reporting your information. But the key thing to note here is that we must have a valid social security number in place and a valid hire date. Um, and this is required for every single employee you hire. So how to report your data in Pennsylvania? We offer a variety of methods. Um, the most preferred method is through the URLs you see highlighted on the screen here in red, pacareerlink.pa.gov or cwds.pa.gov. CWDS stands for Commonwealth Workforce Development System. It's simply the old legacy version of PA CareerLink. It was in place before 2010. Both of these URLs go to the same exact database and website, just different ways of accessing the information. But we prefer you use PA CareerLink to report your new hires to us. Now, you're not required to register with PA CareerLink to use the site to report new hires. As you can see here, the note on the screen says you can report anonymously through PA CareerLink. You can simply go into the site, to our new hire program within the site, and submit your information. But to really take advantage of PA CareerLink, which is designed to match up job seekers who want jobs with employers who have jobs available to fill, we really urge you and encourage you to register with CareerLink. If you do that, you're given a dedicated employer homepage within the site where you can post jobs, you can view applicants for your site, for your jobs, you can report your new hires to the site. So we really urge you to register with the PA CareerLink, even though it's not specifically required for our purposes. Another popular method of reporting data is through secure file transfer protocol. What this is simply is that you'll contact our program's customer service and your request to be set up using FTP, Secure File Transfer Protocol. And we will have you sign some confidentiality statements and we'll get you set up with secure credentials, username and password to log into our department's server, and you'll submit your information to that server. These are the two preferred methods. Electronic methods are very efficient, very secure, and we really prefer these methods. But we offer a variety of methods, other methods as well, but we prefer these two methods. This is what a PA CareerLink website looks like. For example, you go to the website and you'll select under the employer tile, I'm an employer, and the new page will pop up, the employer services page. Under that page, you'll select, I'd like to report my new hires, and that'll take you to our program's website. This is how you access our website through PA CareerLink. Now, if you have bookmarked the CWDS URL I mentioned earlier, this is what the CWDS URL looks like, cwds.pa.gov. You'll simply click on the center employer section, click report new hires, and you'll go to our program homepage. And I'll talk about what the homepage looks like here on my next slide. This is an example of what our program homepage looks like within PA CareerLink. There are several tiles here, the information tabs with information you can click on and read information about new hire reporting. What we're going to talk about in the rest of this presentation is some of these details of how to report through data entry, through file upload, or through FTP, for example. So some of the features I'm pointing out here on the website is the various methods. Another thing I want to highlight is the blue live chat box. We now have a new feature in place where you can live chat with our customer service during our regular business hours, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And when you select the live chat button, what will happen is you will invoke the live chat box and you'll put in some required information. You'll put in your name, your email address, and the subject you're asking about, new hire reporting, and you'll hit the start chat button to invoke live chat. During off hours, when our program is not available, customer service is not available, you'll get a program is closed message. Please contact during customer service hours. The live chat's there at your convenience, so you can chat with our customer service. They can walk you through the process of new hire reporting. If you have questions or concerns about the information, or you want to have those questions answered, they'll be happy to answer your questions. So how to report? I'm going to talk about file upload first. This is simply, you're going to, on our new hire homepage, you're simply going to click the upload a file section and you'll start the reporting process. Again, you don't have to register with CareerLink to use this process. You can go in anonymously and submit the information, but we really do urge you to register with CareerLink. The file upload process is the same regardless of whether you register or not. You're simply getting more services available to you as a PA CareerLink registered employer. So the file upload process starts. You'll put in your information. Since you're going to report anonymously, next example here, this employer is going to choose to report anonymously. We'll ask you for your contact information for your file and your company. So again, if there's a problem with your file upload process, we can contact you to get them corrected. Supported file types that we accept include Excel, .xls file endings, a text file, tab delimited or fixed width, an extensible markup language file, or a comma separated values file. If you have a payroll processing software that creates a new hire report and some other output that doesn't match one of these file types, if you attempt to upload that file into the system, you'll get an error. That's not a problem though. You can simply contact our customer service and we'll help you with the process of creating one of these correct file types. An example on our website here, for example, we provide information and instructions on how to create each file type, a sample of what a file would look like. You simply have to make your information mimic what that file, that example looks like, and you use that and upload files properly through our system. And I'll talk about here in a second. This is an example of what an Excel file, for example, would look like, a very popular spreadsheet. Now, your spreadsheet would simply not have the colors on it. I only have the colors here for presentation purposes, but essentially what you're going to do on this spreadsheet is you're going to, in the first column, you're going to list all of the data elements you need to report. In column A, row 1, you put a 01 and list all of the elements, the FEIN, your company name, company address, city, state, zip code, etc., and so forth, the entire way across the sheet. And then in row 2, for example, you put 02 in the first column, column A, and you list all your data across the spreadsheet, no matter how many rows you need to report on, whether you want to report 1 person, 5 people, up to 1,000,000 rows in Excel these days. But you can use simply one Excel spreadsheet to report all your data and then upload it to our system. This is a popular method that most employers use. And in fact, many multi-state employers, those employers who have employees in more than one state, for example, choose Pennsylvania's program because some states require them to create multiple files of new hire reports specific to each company or state they want to report on. In Pennsylvania, we don't care about that. You can simply dump all of your reports from all your clients, all your states into one spreadsheet and submit it into our system. So I urge you to use Excel, for example, to upload files. It's a very popular method. If you're going to use the CareerLink website, for example, CWS, for example, as I said before, you can click the Report New Hire section and you can log in and you go into your employer homepage. Now, it's one thing to note here, when you use your Keystone credentials, so you do want to register with CareerLink and you're assigned Keystone credentials. If you want to log into your website, you put your credentials in the box and you'll log into your employer homepage. The thing to remember here is though, if you forget your credentials, don't write them down and can't remember how to access the system, if you contact a new hire program, we cannot give you new credentials. We cannot reset your credentials for you for security purposes. You have to contact your local CareerLink office to have that taken care of. Also, if you, for example, register with CareerLink, but then don't access your employer homepage at least once every 30 days, say you register today and don't access again for another quarter, after every 30, 60, or 90 days, I believe it's 90 days, your credentials are automatically deactivated for security purposes. So I urge you to go in each month, once a month, and visit your homepage. Make sure your credentials work properly, and so you can access your homepage. A second thing to note here is that if you have registered credentials, Keystone credentials, and you have an employer homepage in CareerLink or CWS, and you then also want to use file transfer protocol and you get separate credentials, the file transfer protocol credentials will not work to log into CareerLink. Also, the CareerLink credentials will not work to log you into the FTP process. They're entirely separate credentialing processes, entirely separate sets of credentials. So keep that in mind. You can't interchange them for security purposes. So let's say, having said that, let's say you want to go to your employer homepage. You decide to register with CareerLink and get an employer homepage. This is an example of what a homepage would look like. And you can see here, there are links on how to report your data, your new hire data, either the drop-down menu at the top or the quick links at the side. In this instance, this employer is going to decide to upload their new hire file. So they'll create a file on their local machine and they will then hit the browse window to find the file. They've created a file in one of the supported file formats, and they'll simply upload to the browse to their file on their machine, hit the browse button, and it'll find the file on machine, hit the open button. And what the system does is it'll pull that file off of your workforce machine, your local machine, and pull it into the window, pull it into the system. I'm summarizing a couple of steps here on this one slide, but once you hit the browse button, it pulls the file off of your machine into our system. It reads the file, making sure it's a correct file type, Excel, tab, text, and so forth, and then reads every row of data within the file, making sure a correct and valid name is in a name field, a date is in a date field, a social security number is in a social security number field, for example. And if there's an error message, it gives you the option of, first of all, viewing what those errors are, and correcting the information on your own and resubmitting the file upload through the file upload process. You don't have to correct the files on your own, correct the errors. You can simply push the file through. For example, this you see here, this file had errors on it. You can choose to have the file sent through with errors, and our program staff will either fix the errors if they can, or they will contact you through the contact information you provide to get the errors corrected and the file uploaded properly. So you push the file through and process it. And at the end of the process, we give you a confirmation page. We tell you on this date, at this time, you submitted these records. And this is the result of that process. And you can see here, since this employer had some issues with their file, it tells them the customer service representative will contact them about their issues. We ask employers to print this page out, this confirmation page, and keep it for 1 year, the date you submit the information to us for record-keeping purposes. Now, if you forget to do that, and say you navigate away from this page, you can't go back then because it only pops up just at one time. For security purposes, we don't allow you to stay on the page and review it. So let's say you navigate away from this page and you forget to print it out. What do you do? Since you register with CareerLink, we allow you to go into your employer homepage and search for these records on your own in the system. This prevents you from needing to contact our customer service and ask about this information. What did I submit to your program? I forget what I've been doing in your system. Can you help me? Now, this process here is only available if you register with CareerLink and have this employer homepage available to you. If you contact our program by other methods, by email, by fax, by phone call, and ask about the data you're sending to us, we cannot help you retrieve that information. We cannot give you that information back for security purposes. This is only available to you if you register in PA CareerLink. This is another reason why we urge you to register with CareerLink and use the site as intended. So anyway, in this process here, you're going to search for your submitted records. You'll go to the drop-down menu for report new hires, and you hit the submitted information button, and the submitted information screen will pop up. Let's say you don't remember anything about what you're reporting to our system, except possibly reporting over the past couple of months, for example. You simply fill in some of the information here, or you can leave it all blank. Your FEI will be populated in the system because we already know who you are in the system. But you'll put in, for example, a date range. We allow you to search back up to 1 year into the past in 30-day increments, 31-day increments. Now, you can't put in a date range of 1 year and try to search. It's too much information to churn through it. That's one time in the database. But you can go back in instances of 31 days and search that way, back at least 1 year into the system. So this employer, in this example, puts in a date range of mid-July and then hits the search button, and the system will find their information and present it out to them on the screen. Now, we don't give you complete information. We mask the secure, confidential pieces of information. There's just enough information on screen to allow you to jog your memory, saying, "Oh yes, I remember reporting this person," and then you can verify it that way. So we do mask the information for security purposes. This is a feature available again if you register with CareerLink. You can find the information in the system. Another method I want to talk about is the file transfer, as I mentioned earlier. Again, this is a separate process from using file upload. This requires you to contact our customer service and say, I want to use this file, this methodology to report my new hires to your program. On our new hire page, you'll hit these secure file transfer links, and you'll see if you've never registered with this process before, you'll see an informational message will pop up asking you to complete the email message information, put in your company information, and submit it to our customer service. And once you do that, the process will start to initiate you to get user credentials in place. We'll send you some information back. You'll have to sign off some user agreements, some security agreements. And once the process is up in place and running, it'll take a day or so. You'll have a username and credentials you can use to then access the file transfer process server in Harrisburg and submit your data to our program. In the process, again, once you have your credentials in place, your secure username and use password that's specific only to the file transfer process, you go to the URL provided, you'll submit your information, and once you log into the FTP server, you can then use the Move It wizard provided there to upload your file. The process itself is very similar to using file upload, except you're using it through the FTP server rather than through the CareerLink website. And you can see here, you'll simply find the file that you created on your machine. You open it up and it'll load into the browse window, and it'll give you a progress bar showing the file being uploaded into the FTP server. A progress bar will show you when the file upload process is complete. And because part of the contact information to register for using this process requires you to give us a valid email address to contact you, we will send back to that email address you submit to us information on the results of this process. We'll send you back 2 emails. The first email will tell you that yes, your file was successfully uploaded to the file transfer server. The second email will tell you that yes, we moved the file from the file transfer server to the CareerLink system behind the scenes. So this process verifies to you that in fact you were successful in doing this upload process. This is a very popular method. Many large payroll processing employers use file transfer protocol to submit their data to our program. Next method I want to talk about is data entry. typing in the records right on the website itself, or by using the career link job referral update process, as I refer to it. Essentially what this is from our new hire reporting page, again, you'll start to enter the records in manually through the website itself, right on the screen. You'll simply sit here and type in the records, information row by row, record by record. We allow you to sit here and type in up to 50 records per web session. Now, I never recommend to employers that you actually sit here for 2 hours and type in 50 records at a time. Essentially what you're doing is building a large spreadsheet right on the screen itself. I always recommend if you have more than a few records, more than 5 records or so, always submit through file upload. Because a problem happens if our website crashes or your computer crashes or lose power, until you actually process the records into our system, the data aren't really submitted to us. So you may lose all that information, all that work will be wasted for nothing. So through this process, I urge you to really, for more than just a few records, use file upload. But for 1 or 2 or 5 employees, for example, you want to report on through data entry, this process works fine. It's very easy and very convenient for you. You'll simply enter the new hire information by the new hires buttons. And you'll sit there, as I said, and enter the information record by record and data entry field by data entry field. But what's nice about this process is you can't make a mistake in this process because our data fields will only accept valid information. So if you forget to double key entry the FEIN correctly, for example, or you put the date in wrong, or you admit the hire date, or you admit the person's name or your company name, an error message will always pop up on screen to allow you to correct the information before moving forward. At the end of the process, I'm summarizing a couple steps here again. As I said before, you can submit record by record, and you'll see you're building a small spreadsheet right on screen. At the end of the process, you hit the process button and a confirmation statement pops up. Again, this is a foolproof method of reporting data to our program because you can't move forward with a mistake in your data. It must be correct to process through this method. It's a very popular method for employers to use as well. And the final data entry method I want to talk about is using the career link site itself. Through the career link, as I said earlier, you'll post jobs, you'll screen applicants for those available jobs, and the system will actually screen the job participants' criteria, their resume criteria, to match your job openings, the criteria you have for each job you post. So that rather than wade through many, many dozens or hundreds of unqualified applicants, the system will present to you only those applicants whose qualifications match the jobs you need, the jobs you want filled. So you'll be given a list of candidates that are suitable to fill your job openings that you post in the system. And what you'll do here in this process is you'll find those candidates in the system. You'll select one of them, for example, and hire one of them. And you want to report that hiring information to our system. So let's on the screen here, you'll see a candidate, an eligible candidate that you decided to interview and hire. And you'll report that information to our system here. Through the candidate status tab, the little buttons on the right-hand side, you'll select the candidate status and change it to hired and update the referral status in the system to reflect that the person was hired in CareerLink. This is a detail of the prior slide, basically. So as I said, you'll change that person's status to hired in the system, select the update status button, and what it does in the system, it updates that job opening as being filled with that person, update that job seeker status as being hired in the system, and on the next screen, so again, summarizing a couple of steps here in this one slide, it'll give you an opportunity to report this new hire to our program through the website itself. Once you hit the update status button, the hiring details page will pop up. You'll put in the start to work date, which is the hire date, and you'll put in the starting wage. Now for our new hire purposes, we don't require starting wage, but the CareerLink office, the CareerLink program does require starting wage information. So you put that information in and save it, and here's the choice you'll be given, the new hires confirmation, a hiring details choice. The statement will say, you hired this person today through PA CareerLink. Do you want to report this information to our new hire reporting program? I always tell employers and CareerLink staff who are doing employer services for employers in this website, always select yes on this option. What this does is it closes the loop. It updates the system with the hiring occurring and feeds that hiring information across the database to our new hire program. Once you select yes here, you've then done your federal and state responsibility to report your new hires to our system. If you select no, as the statement implies, the hiring will occur in the system, the job opening will be filled, and that person will be hired for that job, but that activity will not be fed across the database to our new hire program. You must then have to go in a separate method, either through data entry or for file upload or what have you, and then submit that new hire report to us in a separate method. So it's always easier for employers simply to select yes on this option and then close the loop and finish the process. And the final step again, they give you a confirmation page. It basically matches up the employer information in the system, your employer FEIN, your hire information, your name, address, etc., with the job seeker's information. their address, their name, their hire date, etc. It's creating the new hire report right on the screen. And once you've done this, you see this page, you've fulfilled your responsibilities under the law to report your new hires to our program. So what are the benefits of all this reporting to our system? Why do you, the employer, benefit? I mentioned at the start of the program presentation, obviously children benefit because they're receiving the needed support they're entitled to through the wage garnishment process. But employers also directly benefit. Some of the statistics you see here on the screen, we have nearly 40,000 employers per month reporting to our program. Roughly 250,000 new hires per month are reported to our system. Pennsylvania is the 5th largest new hire reporting program in the nation. Since the start of the program in 1998, the program started as part of the Welfare Reform Act under the Clinton administration in 1998. Employers have reported many millions of records. In fact, we've matched up to 2.2 million wage attachments through this process by matching new hire reports against child support case files. And from those 2.2 million records that match within Pennsylvania, we've garnished way over $600 million in child support collections for the children in Pennsylvania. Just through this process of employers reporting their data to our system when they have a hire in place. If this process didn't exist, if new hire reporting didn't exist, it's most likely that this $680 million would not have been collected in a timely and routine manner. The purpose here is to replace the wages that the child should have been receiving through federal assistance and federal support purposes, for example, with actual wages from the both parents, both the custodial parent and the non-custodial parent. So under federal law and state law, it is the responsibility of both parents to support the children. And this new hire process ensures that happens. You can see here the direct result of that. But the benefit for employers, as I keep mentioning, employers directly benefit because when we have your new hire report in hand, we match it against the UC and the workers' compensation case files to find out who's trying to defraud the unemployment system and receive benefits they're not entitled to. Now, under the unemployment compensation law, you are allowed to work as a claimant receiving benefits up to a certain level called a partial benefit credit. Say, for example, it's $50 a week. In this instance, these claimants are trying to claim both their full unemployment compensation credit plus receive wages from working without having that wages declared by not having a new hire report in place. So when they, for example, the claimant will call the teleclaim system, the PAT teleclaim system, the system will ask them during the claim work you're filing for, claimants file for 2 weeks at a time, the system will ask them, did you receive wages or compensation? If that claimant actually is working and they say no to that question, they potentially committed fraud because they're trying to avoid reporting wages they've earned. So in this instance, this process will then figure that out, find that fraud by matching the new hire report against the claimant file, and then put a stop payment on that claim. And if a stop payment is put on that claim, it'll be researched. If fraud is occurring, the money will be recouped back from the claimant and returned to the employers. Employers are paying into the UC trust fund to directly pay out claims for claimants. So by trying to identify fraud as much as possible and stop payment on that fraud and lower the claimant's experience rating in our system, we're saving employers money. Employers pay out into the UC trust fund on a quarterly basis. They pay into quarterly taxes in the UC system. The more claims they're paying on, the more potential fraud there may be in place. So we want to identify fraud as much as possible and eliminate it. However, if the employer, as I said before, if we don't have your new hire report in hand, we can't do the match process against the claimant case file. And if we don't have that claimant case file in hand, we're going to continue paying on that claim because we don't know it's fraud. The Commonwealth won't know fraud is occurring until after the claim has been exhausted. The claimant won't tell anyone that they're defrauding the system, and the employer won't know the claim is fraudulent until the claim has been exhausted months later. This new hire process, however, we potentially identify the fraud right up front, right at the start, and stop payment right away, and then recoup the money back. That's how employers mainly benefit from this process. So for more information on new hire reporting, you can go to our website. You can research and look and explore our website itself. There are links there to videos, short informational videos that are posted out there. If you need a refresher on how to report your information or why the program exists, why should I report my new hires to the new hire program, you can view the videos, you can view the informational links. And it's very helpful information to look at. This is an example of what the links look like to the videos. Under each of the little tabs I talked about, data enter, upload a file, or secure file transfer protocol, you see links to the videos. And they're always available there for you to research and review. If you have questions about new hire reporting, I'd be happy you can contact our customer service information at the phone number or email address sitting on your screen here. I will note though that if you have Questions about new hire reporting: you are not allowed to submit new hire data by phone to our program, or you're not allowed to create a file of new hire information, attach it to an email, and submit it to our program. Our program will not accept data by email attachment. Email is not a secure method of reporting data, and we will not accept it. We will ask you as the employer to resubmit your data to our program by a more secure method through one of the preferred methods I talked about in this presentation. If you are paying new hires wage garnishment, is actually garnishing one of your employees' wages, and you're paying that child support process, the wage process, the garnishment process, you have questions about that whole process, you can contact the Department of Human Services, the information you see on screen here, or you can contact the State Collection Disbursement Unit for more information. So thank you for your time about new hire reporting.